Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're jumping into a topic that seems to be in the headlines constantly, natural disasters. But what if I told you the real story isn't just about their power, but about our incredible and growing ability to survive them? Let's dive in.
So let's kick things off with a huge question, one that you might think has a really obvious answer. Are natural disasters actually getting deadlier? I mean, it sure feels like it when you watch the news, right? But what does the data really show us?
Well, think about this. If you look back at the 20th century, it wasn't all that uncommon for over 1 million people to die from disasters in a single year. 1 million people. That's just a staggering number, a scale of loss that's almost impossible to imagine today. Now, compare that to what we've seen over the last few decades. The average has dropped to around 45,000 deaths a year. Now, of course, every single one of those is a tragedy, but that is a massive and maybe even shocking drop in the loss of human life. This incredible drop is really the main story we're digging into today. So, what's going on here? What's behind this surprising global trend? How in the world have we managed to save so many lives when faced with the raw power of nature? Let's find out. Okay, first things first, we need to get a really crucial definition straight. What's the difference between a hazard and a disaster? Well, a natural hazard is just an event, an earthquake, a hurricane. It only turns into a natural disaster when it hits a vulnerable community. To put it simply, an earthquake in the middle of an empty desert, that's a hazard, not a disaster. All right, so with that difference in mind, let's take a look at the major types of natural hazards we're actually up against. And yeah, looking at info from places like the US Geological Survey and the UK government, it's clear the planet throws a lot our way. We've got everything from earthquakes happening deep inside the Earth to massive cyclones churning on the surface. These are the basic forces we have to get a handle on and prepare for. But here's the key thing. Nobody faces all of these things equally. Your own personal risk really comes down to one thing: location, location, location. So let's bring this down from a global view to something a little more local. This slide nails the point perfectly. Let's just use the United States as an example, since it's so big and diverse. In California, you're getting ready for earthquakes and wildfires. But someone in the Midwest, they're way more worried about tornadoes and massive winter storms. It's the same country, but the hazards are completely different. And we can even break that down further. Based on data from the Red Cross, you can see this really clear geographic pattern. The West Coast has its earthquakes and volcanoes. The South and Southeast are right in the path of hurricanes. The Midwest is famously Tornado Alley. So no matter where you live in the world, knowing your local risks is always step one. Which brings us right back to our big question from the beginning. Why are fewer people dying? If these hazards have always been around, what's changed? Well, this is where we get into the really cool story of our own resilience. The answer is really a story about human progress, and it's built on 3 main pillars. 1, we've gotten so much better at creating early warning systems. 2, we've learned how to build stronger, more resilient infrastructure. And 3, and this one is critical, we've learned how powerful it is for individuals and communities to be prepared. Just think about this super simple life-saving advice from the Red Cross for an earthquake. Drop, cover, and hold on. It's so easy to remember, easy to teach your kids, and it's been proven to slash the number of injuries. This is exactly what preparedness looks like in action. And these basic ideas work for almost anything. It doesn't matter if it's a wildfire or a hurricane, having an evacuation plan, putting together an emergency kit, and making sure you're signed up for local alerts, these are the universal steps that can keep you and your family safe. I love this one. This catchy phrase from the Red Cross for flood safety is just a perfect example of smart public messaging. Turn around, don't drown. In just 4 words, it tells you the most critical, life-saving thing to do. It's a great reminder that sometimes the best move is to not move at all. So it's clear we've made some incredible progress in protecting human life. But what does the future hold? Let's wrap up by looking ahead. And this is the key takeaway here. We absolutely cannot get complacent. Our past success doesn't mean we're safe forever. As organizations like Our World in Data point out, our changing climate is ramping up the frequency and the intensity of a lot of extreme weather events, and that's going to test us in totally new ways. But, and this is the message I really want you to hold on to, this amazing quote from Our World in Data says it all. We are not defenseless. Our ability to learn, to adapt, and to prepare has always been our greatest strength, and it's going to be our best defense moving forward.
And that really leaves us with the big question for our time, doesn't it? Knowing the challenges that are coming, but also knowing what we're capable of? How are we going to keep innovating and working together to build an even more resilient future for everyone?
All the information we talked about today was compiled from these fantastic sources. Thanks so much for joining me to better understand our world and our amazing capacity to navigate its biggest challenges.